During the summer of 2023, we moved to a remote Scottish Hebridean island to be its only two residents, along with our 2 pet sheep and pair of cats. These remote islands seem to retain an old-fashioned rhythm and a charm which we find encouraging us to live a more frugal and simple life, the way man was perhaps more intended to. We have an ancient stone cottage to restore, veggies to grow, livestock to build up, fish to catch and smoke, a boat to buy, and much more. Step back in time with us at the Scottish Isle.
Every pathway's turning into a bloody burn.
Here's an interesting wee building. Don't know what it is. Maybe a guard chamber. Probably it was originally covered. I can't imagine it would have been like that. I think it's too small to be a kiln. But what I find interesting is the manner of building here is exactly the same as the cottage. You've got these long rectangular stones that have been propped out with little stones. Something that you also see in places like Skara Brae, on Orkney. It's obviously a ancient building technique here in Scotland. Rain's gone off. Back to work.
Katie, what are you doing today?
I'm strimming. The problem I have with trimming is that these harnesses, even though they're great, I'm afraid they're made for men. And the reason I say that is because of my shape. Even if I have it in its tightest setting, when the weight of the strimmer is put on there, it sits on my hips because of this middle band, not on my shoulders. So these are sticking up in mid-air, and that's as tight as they go. So, ergonomics. Come on, Steele, make a harness for women, please. We whizzed past this ancient, mainly ruinous castle on the mainland some time ago in a boat and decided to take a closer look. Access to this place is either by boat landing on the beach or down a 2-mile single-car bumpy track, then on foot over a sandbank causeway which can be used to get to the island on which the castle sits at low tides. It's believed there was a settlement here long before this medieval stronghold was built, due to the archaeological finds unearthed in the castle's old midden. It's rubbish dump, basically. Durlan was built in roughly the 13th century and was the seat of a sept of the MacDonalds, a clan very prevalent all over the west coast. Forts such as these were built with incredibly strong, thick walls, and the entrance doorway was usually not at the ground level. It had to be accessed by removable steps and platforms. For defensive purposes, this was invaluable, but meant that a fort had to be able to withstand an enemy siege for some time, even weeks or months. Because of this, you'll always find strongholds with living areas to shelter a community, with spaces for storing and producing food, keeping livestock, and with their own well as a source of fresh water. This particular fort has seen its fair share of trouble over the years, mainly at the hands of warring clans as usual. But even today it continues to be at the heart of a lengthy besiegement of a more modern kind: red tape and bureaucracy. The castle is privately owned, and for many years the owners have wanted to restore the castle and make it into a home. As a scheduled historic monument, though, planning was refused. So now, in a battle of paperwork decades old, the castle crumbles slowly into the sea, rather than being restored and used, or, at the very least, blown to smithereens by cannonballs in a perhaps, for a castle, more honourable exit.
Came up here last night trying to find the stag. He was down at the foreshore during daylight hours, believe it or not. But as soon as he saw me, I whipped my camera out, he was gone up this hill. Had about 4 does with him. He's a juvenile, there's 2 of them, one of them's much older than him, and the pair of them were out on the front of the cottage last night. We expected to have a fight, but they didn't. They just, what do we say? They just bellowed at each other for hours on end. I mean, and hours on end. I think they finally stopped round about 6 in the morning. But anyway, that's not the reason that I came here. We've set up a Patreon account, as numerous people were asking us to do so. So thanks to all the new Patreon members. And if you'd like to subscribe to Patreon, the link will be on the screen now. It will also be underneath the description here on this episode. We've also set up a campaign with coffee. Some say Ko-fi. Coffee is what it's meant to be. To help pay for the Starlink. We'll be immensely grateful to everybody who donates. And like I said, you don't have to donate much. Just throw a couple of quid in there and eventually we'll get there.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Oh, what a lovely bit of filth. Hello. One of the jobs that we have come to realise that we must do is keep on top of all the drainage here. The water comes, as Scott said, right off the hill, round the side of the house and seeps into this slope and finds its way into one of 3 drains along the foreshore here. It is all overgrown and it needs digging out to give the water a suitable kick up the backside on its way back to where it wants to be. So this is the first time she's seen this drain clear. She's got a fascination with water, this little cat. Anyway, I figure that I might as well kill 2 birds with 1 stone. That is fine pre-watered turf. And it's going on here. So you get the idea. The earth can just reclaim this now. And we'll plant some flowers. Somebody suggested putting heather here. Can't talk today. I love heather. So that is a good idea. The sheep may eat it, but hey ho. It's not poisonous to them or anything. They'll just have a tasty treat and then everyone will be happy. So the work continues.
As you know, a few days ago, we cleared off all the boarding on the underneath of the cabin, and Katie resolved the drainage issues from that barrel by putting in the pipe to take the water away down via this path. And what I was waiting for was some substantial rain to fall to see what problems removing these boards may have caused, especially relating to the wood that's going to be stored under here all winter. Now, as you can see, The rainfall was extensive last night, and we have damp and water. I threw all these logs under here for this purpose. I knew it was going to rain heavy, so I thought this is a good time to test this out. And yes, indeed, the wood got very wet, as did this. Now, my initial reaction was wind change with excessive rain coming off the sea is going to blow straight in here and cause this particular problem. However, that's not the case, because if we look over here, it's dry, and it's dry underneath. So I was just like, well, so what's causing this? What's causing this water to get through? And yeah, it is obvious when you know. It's this floorboarding. So the gaps in between this floorboarding on this upper deck area, they're quite substantial, and that's what's letting all the water through, especially when you get heavy rain. And just step back again. If you couple that with the fact that the cabin roof has no guttering on the front here, then obviously the water is cascading straight off that roof, straight onto the decking, straight through the gaps and onto the wood. Now, the way I'm going to resolve this, step back again, is obviously we're going to put some guttering on the front there to catch all the rain and take it away, which will pretty much solve the problem. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to get some Gorilla silicone sealant clear, and that will do to go through all these gaps. I mean, I don't need a colour match, and you know, it doesn't have to be a perfect job, because obviously it's the outside of the wood. I mean, there was another idea to put rubber matting on here, but it's just a slip hazard even if you get anti-slip stuff. It is quite treacherous, this wood, when it gets wet, and especially these steps having no railing. That needs to be resolved. But you would be surprised at how helpful that chicken wire is to stop slippage. So back to the decking, all these gaps will be sealed with silicone, and then this wooden decking is going to have chicken wire across the whole top of it, all the way down there. And that, coupled with the guttering, will solve that issue of that wood getting wet. However, that needs to be done before we start stacking the wood here. Katie's not coming down because she thinks she might fall in. I mean, she has got a point. If you fall in there, you've gone.
I've been strimming this morning. That's why I've got a muddy face. So I thought I'd give myself a treat and come down to the old orchard that's here and gather some apples, make some apple pie. But thinking about fruit, maybe think about the comments that we receive, the people's fruit, what they produce. The overwhelming amount of comments we get from you all are really positive, and we thank you very much for your support. One negative one that we read this morning made me laugh because somebody was saying if you can afford a £30 leg of lamb, you can certainly afford Starlink. Well, it made me laugh because the leg of lamb was a gift from my mother who visited. But it's bad fruit, you know, that sort of judgmentalism and anger. Maybe it's frustration, I don't know. But anyway, here's some good fruit. Here's the orchard. And you can see in the background the colours of the autumn starting to appear. It's beautiful. They say the fruit's ready when you don't have to twist it at all, barely. It just comes off in your hands and leaves this little stem. There's a really nice red one I just want to get. The rest is going to be apple pie.
Oh, I think the steps to the cottage are steep. Oh. That's a toilet up there. It's quite a long way down there. I didn't realise it was so high when I got up here, so I got a little bit dizzy.
This is why in Scotland they say just wait 5 minutes if you don't like the weather. Look how fast that cloud's moving. Blue skies over this way.